Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, so this reading is just going to be a general reading on the post-Trump trial. It's going to look at Judge Merchan. It's going to look at the jurors and maybe even the witnesses and MAGA's kind of response to all of this. There's been reporting that on far right-wing websites, they're trying to basically dox the jurors. Doxing means putting their private information out on the public space, or so like their names, addresses, phone numbers, social media accounts, that sort of stuff, and putting out there in public so people can harass them. There's also the right-wing media misrepresenting the judicial orders about unanimity in the Trump verdict, saying that they could jury didn't have to be unanimous in order to convict Trump, which was a lie. It was a purposeful misinterpretation of the juror instructions from the judge, and raised a lot of anger and outrage from the MAGA faction because they don't read. They just listen to what these talking heads say. So they can, the talking heads can inflame these folks, and the folks don't bother checking. And I talked about this in a previous video. It was basically, if the jury instructions were something to the tune of, if the jury decides that Trump falsified business records to cover up another crime, that would be a felony. They didn't have to agree on what the crime being covered up was, just that it was being used to cover up another crime. There could have been 1, 2, 3, or more examples of other crimes covered up by these business record falsifications. The jury could agree that it was done to cover up a crime. They didn't have to agree on what that crime was, just so long as there was one. Okay? That's like saying, okay, kids, we're going to go to the store and get ice cream, okay? All you have to do is agree that we're going to get ice cream. You don't have to agree on the flavor. You just have to agree that we're going to get ice cream. Okay? Let's dumb it down to getting ice cream here, okay? And just general MAGA energy post-trial. The reason for this is that, MAGA, again, is they're kind of dark forces, and they want to be angry at somebody. They have to have somebody to blame, to kick down on, and they don't have it here. So that leaves the judge and the jury. Just a quick public service announcement. I have 2 other channels. I have my Tarot of the Seven Seas, which is a tarot channel much like this, but covers international events. And I have Twin Tarot with Gary and David, which is a channel my identical twin brother Gary and I just started, which is very similar to this channel, except you have identical twins who sound exactly alike, snarking away and having fun with political events, tarot card readings, and such. So if either of those sound interesting to you, go ahead, check them out. Subscribe if you would. I'll have links in the description as well as on my community page. Okay, back to this reading. Let's go ahead and take a look at the energy around MAGA now that the convictions have happened. It's now Sunday afternoon, a little after 12:30. It's 12:46 actually as I record this. So MAGA's had some time to process this and throw tens of millions of dollars at Donald Trump because, what else makes Donald Trump the billionaire feel better than having a bunch of blue-collar or people who work hard for a living? Doesn't have to be blue-collar, but people who work hard for a living throw $20 and $45 at him at a time to raise tens of millions of dollars to a guy who is purportedly a billionaire. Y'all want to throw $45 at me? I'm not jealous. Okay, MAGA energy around the Trump trial and focusing on their lack of having somebody to be angry with, or something along those lines. Four of Wands is the foundation of the reading. You know what they're scared of? They're scared of that he's going to be thrown in prison, and who are they going to root for? Who's going to replace him? Like, you know, it's almost like they're watching the death of MAGA. Trump has been, again, his mythology has been pierced, that he's not the Teflon Don. He can be held accountable, and he may be going to prison for actions that he did. And it's bothering him that, you know, there are Republicans and Democrats celebrating this. As in, I had my other reading, Larry Hogan, who was a Republican former governor of Maryland who's running for the Senate in there, on Monday, before the jury even deliberated, was saying, please respect the jury's decision and respect the legal process. You know, law and order is what makes this country great. And he's absolutely right. My brother and I talk about that in the videos that we did on the Twin Tarot channel. And Lara Trump, who's now the RNC co-chair, basically criticized him for how dare he take such a stance. Are you serious? That's, you know, it's the last thing we've got. You know, the elections are being called into question, which undermines democracy. And it's the legal system that is the foundation of our democracy. Putin's got to be thrilled with how this is all turning out. He couldn't have wished for anything more. He has been pounding at the very foundations of democracy, and he's close to toppling it. I don't think it'll be toppled, but he's gotten close, way more than anybody's ever gotten before on this. And you still have a large percentage of Americans just absolutely frothing at the mouth, wanting to tear it all down. So what's going on with the energy around MAGA in this? And the thing that's bothering MAGA the most about these court cases is that they're all lined up. You know, oh my God, he just got found guilty and could be going to prison for this one. Who's next? These are people who are emotionally exhausted because the Republicans have them clutching their pearls 24/7. It's all outrage all the time. They're exhausted. Now, Trump getting convicted, it's like, you know, they could dig deep and get outraged for that, but they don't have the emotional bandwidth to help. So that's why they're throwing money at him. They're substituting the energy of money for the energy, their passion of going out and protesting. They're just tired of it. Not to mention, with the January 6th, they'd be foolish to try and pull a January 6th, because those January 6th guys, they are in jail. They are in prison. They've lost their jobs. They've lost family. Trump offered to support them, and he did nothing. They're still waiting. And now Trump's like, oh, if I get elected, I'll pardon him. You know, that's a little too late for a lot of these guys. And so, you know, MAGA's tired. There's more court cases coming. And, you know, it's just, there's this energy that their nascent campaign has apex and is about to walk off a cliff here. Again, they would be foolish to support. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be people that will try and, you know, go after the judge, go after the judge's daughter, but to do so is going to get you landed in prison big time. In the past is the Page of Swords. MAGA was used to feeling like experts on things, stuff they didn't know about. They were made to feel experts on. They were feeling valued. Trump made them feel valued with their ideas, their low energy ideas. And they didn't have to be politically correct anymore. They could be as racist or as sexist, misogynistic as they wanted to be. And who cares? You know, whether there was factual or not, facts didn't matter. All that mattered was you out there being cruel to other people. Cruelty was the point. We're also looking at these court cases here. Current situation is the Ten of Cups. The judicial system worked as it was supposed to, and what they should be celebrating, they are fighting against. And it's bothering them that people are celebrating that the judicial system worked. They have a hard time comprehending that a jury of their peers found Trump guilty. And again, if you notice, Trump's whole thing was a public relations campaign, a conflicted judge, the 95% Democratic jurors. Their party affiliation wasn't on the jury form, but again, his followers don't question that. Now, mind you, there are 12 jurors and 6 alternates. Even if the 12 jurors, if we want to do the math, it can only be if he's saying it's 95%, that means there was one Trumper on there. 1 out of 12's not 95%. It's more like 92%, 92.5% Democrat. But I guess if you take all 16 or all 18, you're close to 95%, 94. We'll give them the math on that. But I digress. The whole jury wasn't Democrats. Now, granted, he did a crime in a heavily Democratic area. You know, had he, as Colin pointed out, had he bothered criming in, it wasn't Bo, actually, it was, I think it was Hawk. Had he bothered criming in Alabama, it would have been 85% Republicans in there. Maybe he would have found that one juror who was going to ignore the facts. But, that's where Trump chose to do the crime. MAGA's not happy. Their happy little world is getting torn upside down here. It's a harsh reality coming in for them. They've been living in their fantasy land with Trump and his messaging, and just the reality, the Page of Swords, what they had before is now being overridden by the King of Swords. Your opinions mean nothing, or like Trump's statements about what happened, they weren't factual. They were false. And when you go to a court of law, you can't come with your D game. You got to come with your A game. You got to come with your facts, your best facts in creating a story, because the courts run on facts and evidence that's analyzed by the jury. And you can't come with this weak sauce stuff. Lesson to be learned. It's just funny. I mean, they're throwing money at Trump, and Trump doesn't know. There's no contrition on Trump's part. That's right. Of course, what they learned from Trump's PR campaign is that the judge is conflicted, and the daughter raised money for the Democrats. This is not true. The judge does not appear to be conflicted. He tried to rule as best he could. Judge Cannon, you want to see a conflicted judge, go look at Judge Cannon and her rulings, or her non-rulings here. But they're being told, go after the jury. They're being told, go after the judge. Go after the judge's daughter. But again, it's going to be a foolish thing for them to do. It's going to land them behind bars if they do something like that. So they don't have one target. I mean, the judge is the most obvious target. That's the most visible one that they can go after. But the problem is, the judge didn't convict him. The judge only does the sentencing. And Trump can appeal the judge's decisions. That's where the appeal comes in. The judge's daughter, if she fundraises off Trump or not, that's irrelevant. If it impacted his decisions, again, it's appealable. Go appeal the judge's decisions. If you think the judge altered his decisions and jury instructions because his daughter helps the Democrats fundraise off of Trump, that's an appealable offense that you can win easily. Going after the jury. In the end, they're confused. They don't know which end is up. They are literally howling at the moon, looking for guidance and direction. Some of them really do want to know where to go. They just want to be told where to go and what to do. They don't think for themselves. They need to be told what to do. And right now, the messaging isn't... there's no unified messaging. Again, they have three obvious targets. You've got the judge, you've got the judge's daughter, and you have the jury. Those are your three obvious targets you can go after. It's almost like they don't care about Stormy Daniels. They don't care about Michael Cohen, even though Michael Cohen was vilified and all that. They don't care about David Tucker or any of the other witnesses that testified. They only care about the jury, the judge, and the judge's daughter, because that was the messaging. Now, the gag order on the jury should have stopped all that, but it didn't. So you have that to deal with still. But let's look at MAGA and the judge. We'll start MAGA and the judge here. What's MAGA planning on doing with the judge? I don't even like doing this read, to be really honest with you, because it's so dark. But let's see. MAGA and the judge. How's that going to work out? Three of Wands. Planning. Looking forward to things. Actions. Planning actions being taken. I'll throw more cards on that one to sort of figure out if that's the judge or if that's them. Knight of Wands. Step by step. Being left out in the cold. To me, it's like he's the most obvious choice for people to take action against, but taking action against a judge is maybe not the best course of action to take. It requires a lot of planning. Just going over there willy-nilly running up is a bad idea. Plus, there's more this judge has got coming on because of the appeals that are going to be coming up. So, the anger with the judge might progress, but there's more stuff that the judge is doing here. Underneath it all is the Five of Pentacles being tossed out in the cold. I mean... If these judges are elected, I don't know if he's elected or not, then there might be a campaign against elections. Let me check that real quick here. Hang on. No, it's an appointment. It's not an election. It's an appointment here. So come on down. I don't know if this is MAGA going after him or if there's more stuff going on with the judge here. To me, this is more talking about the judge. You've got the appeal that's coming up. He's ready for the appeal. He's got his ducks in a row. Oh, and you got sentencing too, of course. Of course. You got the sentencing coming up next. He's looking forward to the sentencing and how he's going to progress with that and what's going to happen with that sentencing. There are people, Michael Cohen even among them, does not think Donald Trump's going to get prison time. I disagree. I think Donald Trump's going to get prison time for this. He may not serve much time behind bars. He may serve no time behind bars, but I think he's going to get prison time sentenced him. Now, the argument against it is that it's a white-collar crime, and this is his first offense, the first time he's been found guilty of it. Yeah, okay, fine. If Joe Blow is falsifying business records, are you going to send him to Guantanamo? Probably not. He'll probably get probation or suspended sentence and, probation or something like that. As long as he doesn't violate the terms of his probation, he won't have to serve his sentence. If he commits other crimes, well, guess what? You're gonna serve some time. But a lot of it, the first thing Trump didn't do was you have to go to the probation office. After there's some forms you fill out that Donald Trump skipped that process. He was sleeping in court. He was going outside having press conferences. He violated his gag order at least 10 times that the judge found guilty of. Poor behavior in the courtroom. Wouldn't stand for the jury when they came in or when they left. Had to be admonished for muttering and talking out loud where the jury and the witnesses could hear him. Again, falling asleep because he's just not interested in all this. And then he's not following decorum or the rules afterwards. And he's showing no remorse whatsoever, attacking the whole process. Why would you give that guy probation? Why would you treat him like somebody who wasn't the president or the former president of the United States, who did the same exact things? You know, you might give that guy probation. Why would you give Trump that? No. No. I refuse to believe that. Not in my reality. The Hermit card. Okay, we're talking about MAGA and the judge. We might be getting a judge reading here. Okay, so we've got the judge, in this case, leading the way. Just leading the trial, providing instructions, just, you know, being the judge in one of the most consequential court cases in our lifetimes. Current situation, the emperor. The judge is the judge. He's the law. He explained the law to the jury. He gave jury instructions, objections that were brought up. He ruled on those. This was his court case, and he ruled on it. And generally speaking, other than Donald Trump saying how conflicted he was, there was nobody else saying that. That was in the courtroom who had a modicum of unbiasedness here. Overarching energy is the Fool card. New journey. Okay, this is something new, something different. People are talking about him getting put up to the Supreme Court. It could happen one day. I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon, lest, you know, people accuse him of ruling in such a way, trying to get a Supreme Court justice nomination. You know, much in the same way that folks say that Eileen Cannon's being promised a Supreme Court justice nomination, they would say the same thing for Mershon. I hope he gets it. It's like, I don't. I hope whoever gets nominated for the Supreme Court is somebody who deserves to be nominated to the Supreme Court. That doesn't mean that Mershon doesn't deserve to be nominated, but has he met the body of work that would be at the level of a Supreme Court nominee? You know, you have to be the best of the best of the best. Is he? I don't know. But he shouldn't be there simply because he convicted Donald, or he presided over a case that led to the conviction of Donald Trump. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Be a little bit careful about how you phrase things, because then people will take it. People on the opposite side will take it another way, that you only want to promote him because, you know, he vilified Donald Trump, and that's all it takes now to be on the Supreme Court is being against your enemies. Lesson we learned, King Cup. The judge kept his cool. He was being tested. He was being baited, trying to get a mistrial during this thing. He wouldn't buy into it. He kept his cool. This is going to help. So this whole reading, I wanted to read about MAGA. This whole thing is about the upcoming sentencing and the appeals that come out later. If this is about sentencing, he's looking at the statutes to figure out what he can do. He's going to be fair, but he's also going to take into account the Trump's actions. The defendant, I was going to say plaintiff, the defendant's actions. You know, you have to rule on how he was doing it. Trump has shown no remorse. He will, if Trump was given a chance, the whole point of remorse is if Trump were in the same situation, would he step off the cliff or would he not do that? What do you think the answer is? Given everything you've seen Trump do during the trial and after the trial, would Trump, if he had the same opportunity come up again, would he do the same thing or would he do something different? Would he follow the law or would he break the law? He'd break the law again. He absolutely would break the law again. And the judge has to take that into account. It's not vindictiveness to hold somebody accountable for the actions that they would do and would repeat. How do you deter? There's your deterrence card right there. How do you deter him from repeating that same mistake? As I get to the outcome here, I'm laughing because it's like, I started this reading, this spread completely differently, and now I've hit on the narrative. Spirit messes, I swear to God, Spirit messes with me. I ask a very specific question about MAGA, and how they're treating it. And Spirit's like, no. We need to talk about the next step, which is the sentencing part, long before we get to MAGA, which probably means MAGA is going to lose their frickin' mind once he does this. But it takes me a while, and I'm a slow orc. It takes me a while to sort of piece it together here. This makes more sense to me. Yeah. Okay, is this a sentencing thing? What's the outcome? 7 of coins. Looking at the values and assessing it. Do not be surprised if Trump gets... it may not be a big sentence. It might be 7 months. It could also... I do think he's going to I think he's going to have prison time as part of it. The other humorous part would be there could be community service here with it. And I'll ask about that. And folks, I don't want him to have community service. Can you imagine Trump having to pick up dog poop in Central Park? Just, he hates dogs. Can you imagine him with a pooper scooper and a broom going out in Central Park having to clean up dog poop from the grass? On weekends. He could be doing that on weekends as part of his community service. Instead of golfing, he's picking up poo. Don't step in it. Can you imagine if the residents of New York knew that he was going out to a certain part of Central Park on a Saturday? Friday night, Friday they're feeding their dogs all the kibbles and taking them out Friday night and early Saturday morning to lay out the bombs there for them. Give them the fresh steamy piles. As a dog owner or former dog owner, there's nothing worse than cleaning up after somebody else's dog. In the complex we live in, they're supposed to clean up after your dog, and my dog Dex might go to the bathroom, and then it's like there's another pile right there. It's like, oh, we got the bag. I can get both of them. But it's just like, come on, man. Do your part. Donald Trump, who's never owned a dog in his life, having to clean up after other people's dogs. I'm there for it. I am there for it. Oh, God. Okay, so I asked about MAGA and the judge. What the message is MAGA's not going to do anything with the judge yet. They're going to wait till... They're going to lose their mud with the judge once the judge puts out the ruling. Okay? Now, what about the jury? Is the jury safe from MAGA? Let's look at that energy. Well, there's the Drunken Hillbilly Brawl card. A lot of turmoil, there's a lot of energy going around. I think there's a lot of effort going around trying to get at the jury. And because that's jury intimidation. If you can intimidate the jury on this one, then any future jury trial, you're going to try and cow the jury as best you can. And there's going to be a lot of fighting against that. Ace of Swords. Okay, here's what I'm saying. There's a lot of effort to uncover who the jury is. And there's a lot of effort to prevent that from happening. And Ace of Swords here, this is about the jury doing their civic duty. But also I think what's here is do not go after the jury. If you have some dark website puts up accurate information about the jury, I would expect that there's going to be a legal response like they have never seen before. The whole thing about trolling on the internet is that wonderful anonymity that comes with it. But if you have, the FBI and search warrants and getting your IP address and seeing who the account's logged into and stuff like that, you're going to get a visit from law enforcement. And I suspect that law enforcement is going to prosecute fully anybody who goes after the jury, at least the sources of it. If one dark web source spreads it out to 10 people and 10 people spread it out to 1,000 and those 1,000 spread out to 1 million, that one source and those 10 sources will probably get visits and maybe charges brought against them, because you've got to get the message across that this isn't acceptable. You've got to stem this one before it spreads. Okay, the Fool card. There are in the past you got the Fool card. This isn't the jury testifying. This is people. This is like MAGA going after the jury. They've been successful in the past in uncovering information and making life hellish for people who just did their civic duty. And that's, people that are trying to post that want to get that information because that's exactly what they want to do. Now, they might also get the occasional Looney Tune who's a fanatic with a gun who wants to take out jury members because Trump. But again, that's kind of why law enforcement really needs to come down hard on people. Picture, literally it would be one of those things if they found some guy who posted up that jury information and one of those jurors was assaulted or killed, then they should treat the person who put that information up like they would a conspiracy, like a bank robbery. So for instance, in case you don't know this, if a group of people, let's say a group of 4 people rob a bank, one guy's in the getaway car, 3 people, one guy's at the door as a lookout, and 2 people go in. If one of the people going in shoots and kills a teller, all 4 of them are up there for murder. If 2 people go in and the guard shoots and kills one of the robbers and the other 3 flee, they don't get the money, they just flee. All 3 of them, the surviving ones, are going to be tried for murder, even though it was the guard that killed one of the 4. That is a murder, but the murder is being twisted around. It's not on the guard; it's on the people committing the crime. The getaway driver never went in. Might be a pacifist for all you know. The guy at the door never went in. He might be a pacifist too. Doesn't matter. All 4 get charged with the crime. So if somebody spreads out this information and something bad happens to that juror, the person who spread that information, it might be a novel way to do it, but I would hold them accountable for the crazed actions of others. That's how you stop this. That's how you get that accountability. That's why we say entertainment only on these videos. Because what do I know? I'm just some random dude wearing a drumming cat t-shirt on the internet throwing tarot cards on subject matters of political nature. MAGA, jury. They've had success in that. The Justice Department is here, though. Justice is here. It's not right to go after the jury. The jury had nothing to do with this. They were doing their civic duty. Hands off. You've got the Ace of Swords and the Justice card here. This is not... This, the crazy crowd here, this is a murder hornet's nest. Don't go messing with it. This really is going to be the F around and find out if you do that. Overarching energy is going to be the 2 of Swords. Literally, you have a choice. Don't do it. Do not go after the jurors. Do not do it. Do not do it. Do not do it. Justice is blind, but if you unblind the juries, justice ain't going to be blind anymore. Your case is going to be very heavy against you. Yeah, they will come down. If MAGA goes after the jury, the Justice Department and justice is going to go after the perpetrators, and they are going to bring them down hard. This is one of those things that you have to go as hard as you can. This is not a measured response. This is overwhelming response. Shock and awe, if you will. You don't go light because you want to send that message to other people. Don't ever do this. Much in the same way as Trump says, if you hurt me, I come back at you 10 times as hard. Because not only does he want to teach you a lesson, he wants to teach everyone else who might repeat what you did a lesson. The Justice Department will do that in this case. And you want to make the jury's life hell? We will make your life miserable. And everyone around you. And your dog's life too. And if you rode in on a horse, we'll make your horse's life miserable too. They will go after everyone on this one. Yeah, don't mess with the jury. I'm not saying the jury's not safe or that they're safe one way or another. I'm just saying that if you're going to break into somebody's house, don't break into the person's house that has a bunch of really angry dogs in the yard and inside the house. You know? It's not going to work out. You can still break in and cause problems, but it's not going to work out well with you. The dogs are non-negotiable. The dogs won't negotiate. That's not their job. Their job isn't to negotiate. You kill first, ask questions later, and they don't ask questions. All right. Okay, so MAGA judge, MAGA jury. Anything else? What about... How's MAGA going to react to the sentencing? How will MAGA react to the sentencing? Actually... Are they, I guess more, I can get to that one later. How are they feeling now? Are they feeling defeated? Are they feeling deflated? You know, they've thrown money at Trump, but they're not protesting. They're not out there, you know, organizing and getting in their trucks and doing freedom caravans and stuff like that. How are they feeling? Are they exhausted? Are they done? What's going on with MAGA? Wheel of Fortune. They're in flux. This is a transition for them. It might spin some off. It might motivate some, but they're in a transition here. They're exhausted. Again, there's that Nine of Wands again. They're exhausted. They're waiting for the next thing to happen because there's 3 more court trials. What else is going to happen with Trump? And you got the Queen of Wands underneath here. Summer's here. It's like they want to help Trump, but at the same time, you know, summer's here. They want to go have fun. They've got their boats. It's time to go fishing. It's time to go play out in the Gulf. It's time to take your vacations. Go camping. Do the things that they enjoy doing. And you know, when you're on vacation, you tend to unplug from the news media. Except if you're me. But even when I went to Canada last year, by the way, I'm going to Canada again on July 10th through 15th. So there might be some spotty readings going on there. But, you know, you want to unplug and you need to recharge. Again, I think they're tired. They're just tired. They're tired and they want something different. And it looks like they're going to be getting more of the same if they follow this. In the past, you got the Two of Cups. You know, they went on board on the Trump train, and you know he made them feel good about themselves. You know, spit on your neighbor if they're wearing something blue. You know, just owning the libs. It made their identity owning the libs, but it's changing now. What's happening? Yeah, and this is the outcome of the other one. They don't know what to do. They're confused. You know, here's the thing. They've been told by the media that, you know, Trump's innocent. He's going to get off. You know, these are fake charges. It's a witch hunt. You know, never knew that person, so on and so forth. So they're 110% confident that this thing was never going to be found guilty. No chance. Never should have been a case. And here we are, convicted by a jury of 12 people. And, you know, for those MAGA people that truly do believe in law and order, and that they're kind of lost. What happened? They don't understand what happened. They got blindsided by this because they weren't prepared for it. They weren't given accurate information. And that could, for those people, those are the ones who might be the most devastated, because it's like they might lose faith in the judicial system, or they might lose faith in Trump. They just might like, oh, I don't believe this. No, you know, this isn't worth my energy anymore. You know, I can't change anything. It's just like I'm angry, and you know the system's rigged, and law and order's failed, and there's, you know, it's just going to keep going, and I just I can't do this anymore. You know, I gotta walk away. I can't do this. For the super MAGA fanatics, they're not going to care. They're just going to get crazy angry. But others are just going to be despondent and walk away. overarching energy is the victory card, the Six of Wands. They need victories, and the victories are Trump, as Trump said, you'll get tired of winning. There haven't been a lot of wins. They get the occasional victory, but they're not seeing any victory here. No, they can look forward to Trump being the nominee. That looks like it's going to happen, despite these 34 felonies. But some people will stay on the Trump train. Some are just going to be, they're just tired. Lesson to be learned is the Nine of Swords. Just stressing out. A lot of stress. Exhaustion and stress. The guy that they want to be their hero is losing. The winner is losing. They don't know what to do with that. And there's the walking away. Some are going to walk away. They emotionally can't handle it. It hurts. It hurts too much to watch their champion lose. And, I'm reminded of watching some of the football playoffs. I think it was Detroit that was beating the snot out of the 49ers in the first half of like the NFC Championship game or something like that. And then the Niners mounted a comeback. So here they are thinking, don't know how this game's going to end. Team's doing great in the first half. We're going to win this game. And then watching your team self-destruct. And, some people tuned out the game before the end because they couldn't be there for the finish. It was too emotionally draining to be there. They'll just find out what the score was at the end of the game, and that way they didn't have to see their team lose. And for my Detroit Lions fans out there, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring up a painful memory, but it actually is a reasonable metaphor for what I'm talking about here. And if you were a Detroit Lions fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly how that feels. There were a bunch of TikToks on that. For the Dallas Cowboy fans, it's like watching Dak self-destruct again. And the 49ers were up by 10 points too and couldn't bring it home. We all go through this. It's hard when you watch that momentum shift and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's, I guess, where I'm going with it, with that it's an interesting theme. That's where I'm going with that Wheel of Fortune card. There's been a momentum shift. Trump getting convicted has a bigger momentum shift than we're appreciating. The undercurrent has changed. It's not bringing people to Trump anymore. The tide's going out on MAGA. There's going to be some that are just going to hold on for dear life, but it's going to go out, and there's going to be less and less MAGA folks as that water retreats. So just, do not be discouraged. You're going to hear stuff. You're going to hear stuff that triggers you, that causes you consternation. Understand that they're screaming and yelling. They're loud. That's what they're really good at, is being loud. They don't outnumber us. They just outloud us. And they're going to scream and have a tantrum on it. But understand that the quiet ones are the ones that are past the screaming. They're the ones that are probably going to be walking away. Less people in MAGA. It gives us a really good chance of taking over the presidency and Congress and being able to impact a lot of change. In the process, the ones that scream the loudest are going to try and tear down as much as they can. And is that a good thing? Not really. It's disruptive. But it could be a good thing, because if they tear it down, it means it has to be rebuilt back up again. And it's going to be rebuilt back up by Democrats. Not by a compromise between Republicans and Democrats. It's going to be rebuilt by Democrats in the way that the Democrats want to rebuild it. I was talking with Sean. One last thing before I close out here. I was talking about in the other video about the Democrats taking over the House and Congress. And if they get like a super majority, they could get a lot of stuff done. And the progressives really, really, really want to get, push it as far as you can. And you do have to take into account that 30%, 40% of the country has a really hard time with change, and they will dig their heels in on something like that. And we're talking with Shell. What was the story now? Now I've lost the thread. Hang on for a second as I collect my thoughts. Got it. Affordable Care Act. You know, how long did it take before Americans, you know, the Republicans vilified the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. So they call it Obamacare. It took 4 years or more. It took several years for the Affordable Care Act to have a really favorable reading. Now, what's interesting is that if you asked, you know, if you polled people, especially Republicans, what they thought of Obamacare, they'll be like, terrible, worst thing ever. What do you think about the Affordable Care Act? They're kind of positive on it. And when you find out like what their insurance is, say, that was brought to you by the Affordable Care Act. What do you think? That was great. And then if they get told it's Obamacare, then they're kind of like, oh my God, I've committed the sin of liking Obamacare. It's marketing. So where am I going with this? With progressive agendas, something like the Affordable Care Act. You know, even the Affordable Care Act was a compromise. They can do something even better than the Affordable Care Act. But when you put something like that in place, you've got to give the conservatives time to experience it and live it and have it become an accepted part of their lifestyle. And eventually they're going to like it. It just takes them a lot longer. So you can't just keep piling shit on top of them. Even if you know they're going to like it, it overwhelms them. And then they resist and they push against you and they rebel against you and they'll go for some candidate who wants to undo everything you've done because you've overwhelmed them. It's like if you see a stray dog who's scared or a feral cat. You can't just walk up to them and give them food. They'll run away. You got to put out the food and let them come to you. Little by little, over time, let them build their trust in you. It's going to be the same thing with the progressive agenda, okay? I'm as impatient as anybody. And in some ways, I'm even more wildly impatient than most. But understand that that's the reality we face. And for the progressives in there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is what we've got. But for progressive measures, progressive social programs, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. For stuff like women's health care, LGBTQ rights, that's a sprint. Now that's a sprint. There's got to be action taken right away. Election reform, that's action that needs to be taken right away. For, socialized medicine or universal health care for all, expansion of Social Security, welfare, and that sort of thing. That's a marathon. You want to come in with these great social programs, it's a marathon. You can have the big program, but you got to take steps at a time. A step, allow people to equilibrate. A step, allow people to equilibrate. Diving analogy is you can't go from 300 feet down to the surface. You're going to get the bends. And it's going to be extremely painful, if not fatal. You got to come up, 20 or 30 feet and decompress for a little bit. Come up another 20, 30 feet, decompress a little bit until you get to the top. Okay? I've gone on for almost an hour. This video should have gone up on a weekend, not on Monday. But happy Monday, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, do check out Tarot of the Seven Seas and Twin Tarot. I'll have the links in the description. It's also my community page. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.